Play.
Okay, just give you a little quick heads up on what's going on with Carlos's game. We've talked about the heavier racket, the improvement in the service motion, much more fluid. Look at that. He's picked up 8 Ks. He's also picked up an unreturned serve straight away here, and he's almost 10% better in that department in 2025 in Melbourne.
Wow. That's an important little snippet.
Jack coming in here ranked 18, career high last October of 15 after that win in Vienna. Has one other top 5 win apart from the Alcaraz win at Queen's in 2024, beat Tsitsipas in Canada in 2022. That pattern of play is going to be just a little tougher to defend against for Draper out here. Look at that. Very quickly onto the +1, as he always is with the forehand.
Well, that second serve was effective, and the warmth of the day would affect the bounce on that. That took off, that second serve.
Yeah, it really did jump, Fitzy. You're spot on, mate, with the heat in the air, the heat in the core and the balls. It's going to be jumping around here. That kick serve is going to be effective. Anything sort of heavy topspin is going to be jumping.
And that's something that you're going to look at today. The amount of times that Alcaraz with the extra pace on his forehand than his opponents that Jack's faced so far have, he's going to direct a lot more traffic into the left-hander's forehand than perhaps others did.
I think the worry for me with Jack Draper here is that he goes so far behind the baseline. So he's a big guy. He's got a pretty big game himself. Not as big as Alcaraz, but he likes to play a long way behind the baseline on his ground strokes, and I think that's dangerous against Carlos. He steps in, he gets up onto the line, so Jack will be stretching and defending too much if he's back there too far.
Jack Draper to serve.
Look how early Alcaraz is prepared to take that serve immediately. That was a metre inside.
Yeah, I commentated on his first round when Fitzy, and that was apparent straight away. Mark mentioned the work with the serve, the heavier racket, but he's really attacking second serves here.
And that's one of Jack Draper's biggest weapons, Cole. Well, not necessarily the second serve I'm talking about, but his whole serve is a big part of his game. And Alcaraz treated that with contempt. Well, he might have missed the volley, but that's intimidating.
It was kind of how he played in New York when he won the US Open back in 2022. That was more of his return position.
And the option of coming forward as well. He doesn't serve many doubles, Jack. He did serve 2 in a row in his at a big moment at the end of the third set, which cost him the set in his previous match. But he doesn't serve a lot. That one may be due to a bit of intimidation from Alcaraz. He could easily have broken this game. There's 3 points here that Alcaraz looks so aggressive on, and actually pretty scary to me. If you're down the other end and you've seen the options he's got in this first game, even though they haven't come off. I mean, Jack was a long way behind the baseline there. That would have been a winner.
That was. Always played with a very light racket, did Alcaraz, before putting this little extra weight on it, and it's almost allowing him to swing a little slower but get the same result. Not only a phenomenal tennis player, but a phenomenal athlete. You're going to have to be so precise with those drop shots. Draper in trouble early on. Does love a tee serve on a break point. Be interesting to see what he does here.
Good serve. A thinking man serve there. He needed that. No point in going out to the backhand again. He more likely to get burnt there. Good body serve that kicked and bit into the surface. He looks so ominous to me.
Yeah, he looks a lot sharper of the two players. I just wonder maybe for Draper, is there a period of getting the adrenaline going again in the body? But Alcaraz is all over him here. It looks like Draper is sort of really labouring to try and hold serve here.
Perfect.
Well played, Jack. He's got some pressure on him in this opening game. He handled that well.
Going to be interesting to see what sort of pace he can bring off his forehand side. He's about 9 Ks down compared to Carlos. In general, about 119. Carlos has been ripping it at 128 Ks. Again, new racket, more pace off that side.
Advantage Draper.
James Trotman, Jack's coach, will be assisted this year by Alex Ward. He'll be taking over in the Middle East when he gets over there. James will do Rotterdam, which is where he's next slated to play after Melbourne.
A couple of good young Brits there. Well, not so young anymore.
1 game all.
And that's an indication of what obviously Draper's going to have to deal with today. He's been on court over 6.5 hours pretty much than Alcaraz. And that is a lot to make up against somebody like Alcaraz.
That was a brave opening game, by the way, from Jack Draper on his serve.
Alcaraz, of course, with an incredible effort when he picked up the US Open title back in 2022.
15 love.
Won 5 setters in his 4th round quarterfinal and semi-final wins.
Well,
15 all.
if you achieve depth like that on the first return, you've got a chance. Do not drop the first one short to this man.
Incidentally, Carlos on court in that win in New York for 23 hours and 49 minutes. Pretty phenomenal effort for a teenager.
Just quite noticeable, the ball speeds. Well, second serve speed's one thing, but the ball speed's off the ground. Alcaraz just has that easy power, doesn't he? And it's quite noticeable courtside. You know, Draper, there's quite a lot of effort goes in, but a lot more speed on the Alcaraz ball. So, you know, interesting to see over time, does that really start to add up with the physical exertion for Draper?
Game, Alcaraz.
A couple of clean, easy holds for Alcaraz early on. Was pressing for the break, didn't get it. It's too sophomore year. You know, you get on tour, you play your first kind of full year. Next year, you struggle, and we don't really talk about why to a certain degree. I actually had a look at Jack's average ranked opponent in 2023. It was outside the world's top 100. He was actually 106. He ended 60 in that year. Last season, He played an average ranked opponent of 55, half of what he had played the previous year, and managed to finish 15 in the world. That is some effort.
He's just all over the second serve, which, I mean, that one was 140. It's regularly below 150 kilometers an hour, whereas Alcaraz is sort of mid-160s. It's, I mean, it was a great effort, as Fitzy said, to hold first time round, but already it feels like when and not if Alcaraz is going to break here.
That was a better pace second serve. He's been sitting and hovering around 150 Ks for the tournament. Alcaraz, by comparison, on his second serve has been up at 162. Tom Moore, who lives in Adelaide, physio that's been looking after Jack the last couple of years down under, was in London for a while, which is how their paths crossed.
I think with Jack, you have to cover that serve a lot more.
Well, I'm just amazed. The other night, Vukic.
Yep. Amazed.
I was amazed how many times he maybe made the return, but didn't get as good a hit on it as he could have done.
Yeah. By the way, I want to compliment a young Aussie.
15-40.
Oh, yeah.
Alexander Vukic. What a tournament he had. Good for you, young man. You're on the rise and you can go further. But Alexander did keep standing in the same spot on this first court. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Alcaraz does the same thing or whether he leans more to his left here. Because that serve we just saw is not his regular go-to. On this first court,
30-40.
Jack Draper will go down the middle the vast majority of times, and he gets it to move away. And to get any purchase on that serve, you need to stand probably a third of a metre or so further to your left.
Deuce.
Gee, that missed by a whisker. Thought it was coming back into the court for a second. That was to break serve. Look how aggressive he is inside the baseline. So that's the serve we're talking about. You've got to cover that more. That one was a winner anyway, though, on the line.
Advantage Draper. Game, Draper.
Well done. Yep. Survives two service games that were under siege.
Two games all.
Might end up being a little bit of a Pyrrhic victory, though, given just how much that's taking out of him.
Well, there has to be a question mark just in the background about whether he can last the distance here again. So much time on court so far, and he's in the heat of the day today.
Spent a lot of time, of course, he said, back in the cold, but in the sauna, in the jacuzzi on a bike, just trying to get his body acclimatized to the heat that was going to come.
Love 15.
Once again, you see him attacking the forehand side, but that one's just leaked wide, and here's an opportunity developing for the Brit.
It just feels like a bit of a hangover for Alcaraz from the 2 break points. He went for a really big forehand on the first break point, kind of muscled a bit, got a little annoyed with himself, just missed the return, but yeah, he still seems to be dwelling slightly on the frustration of that.
Gee, this is a loose game.
Couple of doubles, miss forehand, and the door does open for Draper. Well, he didn't lose the point with the missed chip forehand. He lost it 3 shots ago when he had a ball in the middle of the court, and he just rolled it into Alcaraz's forehand.
Yeah, those opportunities are fleeting. That's the one you're talking about. Opportunities are fleeting against players of this level. Easy in retrospect. It's a split-second decision, but you've got to go for that.
Yeah, you don't have to go for the line, but you've got to put something on it to just neutralize what's going to come back. And particularly on a day today where conserving energy and trying to shorten some of the points and the distance he has to travel are so important. Acid test for this new motion, isn't it? These big pressure points, break point down, and he's found 3 first serves in a row here for Alcaraz. Picture perfect. What a beautiful shot that was. And he carves out a 3-2 lead.
Well, we know you have to hit a perfect drop shot on hard court.
3 games, 2-2.
Look at this. He didn't invent the drop shot, but he has certainly become the finest exponent of it, particularly off the forehand side, which is the harder of the 2 wings.
Now, you won't use the drop shot as much on a hard court as a clay court if you're Carlos Alcaraz. But against Jack Draper, I think we'll see him use it more than he normally would on a hard court, because Jack is so deep. And he pins so many of his opponents back behind.
Has proved to be just as popular with everybody. Fantastic order of play. And an eagerly anticipated clash between these two at the moment. Draper doing well to hang on. Little opportunity there, bit of a boost to the optimism that he must be feeling, having survived those couple of service games. Can he navigate his way through a slightly easier service game here?
Holy smoke.
I think I saw some.
Yeah, but again, Draper, he had the first chance to attack with the high forehand, and he just, certainly so far in this match, hasn't really flattened one out. That high ball, high forehand still had a bit of spin on it, didn't quite do the damage, and then Alcaraz turns the point around. I think Draper needs to let her really... a really big, hit or two, if he gets a shoulder height forehand, really flatten it out and go big on those. Because, like I say, he's working ever so hard to be competitive here, and I'm just not sure where the battery percentage is for Draper.
The thing about the great players as well is the style of the match is obviously important, but you get the sense with Carlos he's just trying to figure out his best tennis, bring it all together. He's not that disappointed that he hasn't broken through at the moment. And so many of these points, 90% of them played on his terms.
Oh, he's an excitement machine for me. We get privileged to watch tennis like this a lot, but I would genuinely pay a lot of money to come and see this guy play. For me, as a tennis lover, he's got so much in his bag. The previous one, I thought he was going to hit a deep volley. He hits a drop volley. This time I wondered if he might go short. He punches it deep. You just don't know what's coming off his racket. It's almost like he's 2 shots ahead of this tennis brain anyway.
Only a matter of time.
Alcaraz leads 4 games to 2.
You never know what's coming.
No, and he's such a complete player. Of course, he was the player with the most wins out of their first 100 career matches on tour. He picked up 75. Roddick had 73. Johnny Mack 72, who's here working Nadal, even as a phenomenal teenager, only picked up 67 wins in his first 100 matches. Alcaraz in his first 150 matches, 117. Again, Johnny Mack second with 113. And Rafa with 112. I mean, that's how complete he is. I mean, even when he was breaking through, he was barely losing.
So this is a question, Mark. We're obviously comparing him to the big 3 already in his young career.
Well, we're kind of comparing him to the whole of the history of men's tennis. How many times, Colin, has he gone +1 back into Jack's forehand?
Well, I mean, yeah, he absolutely right. He's using that play, but just the ball speed is just so much higher. He can do whatever he wants. And actually, the main challenge is his own focus and concentration that we saw dip in his previous service game. But if he's dialed in, it's just too much for Draper. I'm a little surprised at Jack's approach. On the one hand, I respect it a lot because he backs himself, doesn't he? He backs his game, even against the top players. But, you know, I thought his ball speed would be higher. I thought his intent would be more sort of aggressive, looking to hit bigger, maybe try and get a few clean winners. But he's kind of come out looking to play his solid game. And it's no surprise he finds himself down this opening set. He's been outplayed so far. That's the kind of shot I thought we would see more of to this point. Maybe now he's a breakdown, he has to. But, I mean, Mark, maybe you agree. When Jack beat Alcaraz at Queens, I know it was pretty soon off the back of Alcaraz winning at the French Open, but Jack obviously had Wayne Ferreira in the camp then. I felt that was almost a penny drop period for him where he really started to hit the ball an awful lot bigger. Not really seeing that so far today.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously the nature of the surface there, you can't really rally on the grass as much as we know it's got a bit slower, but it kind of forces you to take a few more risks to try and get the first big hit in. And as much as Carlos has lost that point, it just sort of sows the seed of doubt for Draper to where to cover in these moments. You want to change things up when you're ahead in the scoreboard. And as good as Carlos's shot making is, his strategy is also absolutely on point, and that's why he leads 5-2 in this opening set.
Perfect line there. Oh, you know, I will not disagree with either of you on what you're talking about with Jack's game. I think if he's ever to have a chance, not just to go deep, but to maybe have an outside chance of winning a big one, he won't win it playing within himself. He's not going to win a Grand Slam by being conservative and spinning his forehand. He has to go bigger. Just in my observation of him.
15 love.
And the other thing I would say is it takes a special player to win a Grand Slam. You know, if you look at the field and people ask, well, who's going to win this year? There's only a handful that realistically have a chance to win the whole thing. And those handful are special beasts.
15 on.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have to figure out a way to serve a little quicker on his second. He's trying to 158 Ks that one, but if Carlos is going to be up on the baseline, inside the baseline there, he's going to have to go 165 into the body a little bit, because he's chasing straight away out of his service motion.
Yep. And a case in point, Mark, perfect. On point, that comment, because it's his serve. You have to be able to hold your serve the majority of times, and yet after the first return, he's on the defensive.
Yeah, he's got to be prepared to go into the forehand body. And speaking as a right-hander, you know, that's an uncomfortable serve to return from a lefty. Alcaraz is just destroying it off his backhand so far. Better first serve there. Needs more of those. I just wonder, guys, I don't have the stats. Is Draper's first serve, are the speeds stacking up to the previous rounds? Is he a little down?
No, he's sitting around those numbers, to be honest. Yeah, he's a little bit low first serves in. Colin, he's under 50% at the moment.
Cole, I think that just means there's a different animal returning today.
Yeah, quite possibly. It does just feel from Draper, right from the word go, that I use the word labour. There's a lot of effort going in for what's coming out, and even then what's coming out isn't hurting Alcaraz, so it's a tough place to be right now.
Great effort to get over there, but once again you can see the strategy from Alcaraz that other players are going to try and use, and that's attack the forehand side of Draper.
Well,
Alcaraz
all
leads.
due credit to Jack Draper here. That does get the tape, and that causes Alcaraz to lose sight of that ball. But he is hanging on by a thread on his service games. And to his credit, he's won 3 of them in this first set.
Not great news for Jack Draper, although right at the end is like a slither of good news because it happened here at the Australian Open back in 2021. But Mikael Ymer, the only person to beat Alcaraz in a slam after the Spaniard has won an opening set.
Alcaraz just a little unhappy with Fergus Murphy in the chair here over how quickly the shot clock was started. It was then paused by Fergus, so no time violation there. But I'll just keep an eye on that. Fergus is quite trigger happy, isn't he, with the shot clock?
That's why I love him.
Yep.
Be trigger happy with that shot clock, Fergus.
No complaints for me.
Good man. Start it straight away, please.
all.
Has talked a little bit this week, of course, Carlos, about having to think about this new service motion at times in matches. It's not completely sort of subconscious yet. But when the pressure was on, when he was down break points earlier in the set, he found a sequence of first serves, 4 in a row. Draper perhaps with a chance to salvage this set. It's a game changer, isn't it? Because when you have a monster forehand that you have to defend against, you have to give up the forecourt.
And the disguise is so good. You know, I'm sitting 5 meters or so from that forehand, and it looks to me like he's going to rip it. And then the drop shot comes.
Is the slow and steady approach from Draper going to bring the success that he needs? Third break point of the set.
Against the trend.
Credit Jack Draper. Great mental application.
Alcaraz leads.
And keeps his hopes alive of going up. I'm going to ask the ball kids to bring the towels out. You are going to have to be lenient on the time after games. It's too far to walk. It's a completely different size than the outside courts. On a day that's 33 plus and perhaps even getting hotter.
You know, I hear that argument very clearly, and I don't disagree, except for the fact that if you're the umpire, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. The rules have allowed the players to take way too much time. in my opinion. It makes matches way too long. I mean, that's a problem for the industry. I mean,
I will just stop you there.
Okay.
The reason that they become longer, Fitzy, is because they look at the shot clock and realize they've got 10 more seconds. When there was no shot clock and they got to the baseline, they served.
Yes, no, I agree. The shot clock should be done away with.
Correct.
And then on a hot day, you can use common sense. If the guy's struggling to get to a towel on a major court that's a big surface, okay.
But Fergus did that here, Fitzy. That's the thing. This particular instance, he paused the clock. There was no time violation, so that's why I'm surprised Carlos is getting so antsy about it. You know, it doesn't seem logical to me. It's not like Fergus actually implemented the rules there, the time violation.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page. It's just that, you know, Fergus is actually trying to implement the rule as it should be implemented. Most umpiring doesn't do that. They get 40 seconds. And that's why we start this session at 11 o'clock in the morning. There are no longer 3 matches. There were today because they put 2 ladies' matches on and then a men's. All through the tournament so far, there's been 2 matches because there's not enough time anymore to finish 3. Players and matches are taking too long.
Great response at 30-all. And again, you wonder whether Alcaraz should be covering that serve as well as it's hit.
40-30.
He's done well here, Jack, to his credit. Looked like this first set was going to be over earlier. He's still in it.
Game Draper.
And another good first serve. Pulls up alongside Alcaraz. Looked unlikely.
5 games all.
What a boost this would be for Draper as well, given everything that he's been through to get to this particular stage.
I love his competitiveness, Jack Draper. You put that down to being a Brit? You too? He's in front.
Love 50.
He's obviously had a reasonably close relationship with Andy Murray, who was a pretty good competitor. I think looking up to Andy and, okay, maybe he doesn't behave in quite the same way on the court, I think it's fair to say, but, you know, the competitiveness is there.
We've got a Scot backing a Scot right now, Mark.
Well, if I don't back us, who will?
Yeah, he's unraveling here. He has got frustrated and he just hasn't been able to let it go. And Draper doing absolutely the right thing now, making balls. Alcaraz beating himself.
Yeah, this is where Draper's game is almost ideal, isn't it? Because he's going to, you know, he is a great competitor, as we say. He's focused, he's putting loads of balls in play, and he's allowing Alcaraz to beat himself here.
Top end speed, as you can see, a lot quicker for Alcaraz. That one well placed on top of everything. Interesting that he's gone to Jack's forehand twice, isn't it? I think pretty much all the time on the break points, that's where he's going. His backhand is a much more solid shot, but more importantly, much tougher shot to get on top of as your +1 because it stays lower.
More likely to get a free point out to that forehand.
It's going to be dropped for sure.
No way.
Yes. That wouldn't get put down at Wimbledon.
I would have bet that, well, my car, I would have bet that someone would have held that if it came close enough. That's what happens in these parts, Mark. No fumbling, just a pluck.
Left. First song.
Sticking that straight on eBay. This is Alcaraz's ball from the Australian Open.
It was in his
Give me your best offer.
It was in his pocket. Well, he gets out of trouble.
Alcaraz.
How well he refocused there. Some fabulous first serves from the Spaniard. 6-5 opening set.
Alcaraz leads 6 games to 5.
Complete the set for Alcaraz. Lost to Zverev here last year. Not bad to be 21 years old and your worst slam is a quarterfinal.
Trying to join an elite group of 8 that have won all 4 in the men's game. He wants to be number 9.
Love 15.
Six points in a row has turned this set again back on its head.
And a complete change up there on the second serve, way deep in the court. And a brilliant return deep to Draper's baseline, but just in the crucial moment, he brings something different again, always keeping the opponents on the toes.
It's been fascinating to see how quickly he's got out of that trade, how quickly he's distributed the ball down the line to the Draper forehand. Hasn't always worked out for him, but he's just not allowing Jack to settle in that backhand corner at all.
How good is he at returning, Petch? I mean, that is a difficult serve to get back from most players, but he reads it better. He's quicker with his first step, and his control at length at the end of his racket head is just amazing to get that back. 2 set points.
Oh, he was hard. He was almost there. What a point from Draper, though. Great volley.
What an indication of his speed. He was nowhere near this. What a great volley from Jack Draper. And out of camera here, this is good stuff. It looked like he had him beaten by 2 or 3 meters, and he nearly made it. He gets there to this.
Blistering forehand. Blast through the defences of Draper for a second time in the
7
set.
games to 5.
Amazing Alcaraz.
Love 15.
I must admit, a little bit in the early part of Carlos's career, I've always wondered whether all of this flair and all of this versatility he possesses can sometimes get in the way of winning the odd match, whether it costs him an odd match because he's got so many choices. But wow, what a group of weapons he possesses. And he can change his game. If he's under the pump one way, he's got other things to turn to. It's just a beautiful thing to me.
Well, he's a great shining example for letting a player just do what they want to at a very young age. I mean, he was 8, 9, 10, and he was hitting 60 drop shots a match, and he had people saying, you can't keep doing this. But, you know, he got to a point where he perfected it because he hit so many. It's not
He did it for fun.
Yeah,
he enjoyed it.
He just loved doing it. He used to come in, get lobbed because he was small.
Yeah.
And he learned all the tricks of the trade and how to be effective up there because he was just allowed to play.
Well, to me, it's a lesson in deriving joy.
30 all.
That's what this game can give you.
Yeah, and when it transforms itself from a game into a job, which is when things get a little bit hard. But there's no question that Carlos Alcaraz is doing the one thing in life that he wants to do more than anything else, and that's play tennis.
Deuce. Advantage, Alcaraz.
It's a big serve there, 209. You know, when you're speaking of this sort of evolving service motion, just looks to me when he really stays relaxed with it, that's when he's at his best. Sometimes he's guilty of sort of muscling the ball, really trying to hit it hard, but when he's relaxed, so good.
Game,
That was kind of your wheelhouse, wasn't it, Flambeau? 209?
First game.
If you're talking about serve speed, no, that's completely foreign to me. That is for sure. But Maybe if you added the first and second together.
You're not a foreigner in this company, Colin, I'll tell you.
So, yeah, you weren't exactly Richard Krajicek, Mark, were you?
No, I wasn't. I was waiting for you to come back. Well done.
Mark's he's in the cream puff club like the rest of us.
Yeah, no.
I knew it was time to end when I was sort of running past my serve on the way to the net. That was it for me.
The paper aeroplane serve, never a good thing.
It's like being a serve and volley without a serve. Try that out.
Low.
Gonna have to mix up that serve a little bit on that deuce side. Now it's a nice little one out wide.
Low.
Seems pretty happy, Draper, since his return to the court. You know, he's not sort of focusing in on the discomfort or stretching it out in any way. So it's game on for now.
It's going to be interesting to see. I know his DNA, and we've talked about a lot of that opening set, and it did pull him back into contention with the way that he played. But given the fact that he's got to try and win 3 sets from him, whether he can just drop the guardrails on that forehand and try and make something happen.
Pretty hard to drop the subconscious, though, isn't it? It's.
I mean, you've got to be practicing it. It doesn't mean you have to use it all the time against players that you should beat. You just need to beat the opponent in front of you to, you know, but you obviously need to have been working on it to feel comfortable out there in the main arena.
Yeah. Ooh, he's hobbled a bit then, I think.
Yeah.
So it's sore.
30-14. Deuce.
I mean, what court coverage. And that is the difference maker, because for all of his swashbuckling, attacking tennis for Alcaraz, the fact that he can also turn around points like that in his favor is what separates him from very good players. just too good. It's beautiful to watch. It's brutal to play against if you're Jack Draper.
Alcaraz.
And you're not going to say this until the end of the match because it would be wrong to do so, but some days you need to say too good. And a lot of these points make you think of that phrase.
Been interesting, Colin, that serve. I mean, it's sort of been in the mid 190s, but he hasn't gone pure through the tee that often. He's gone straight into Jack's sort of left hip on the forehand side.
Yeah, probably just a tactical adjustment against Draper, obviously a lefty. Oh my goodness! It's now, you know, he's just going to start opening the shoulders. And you know, as I sit here courtside, I'm just keeping a close eye on Draper. It's a tough place to be, isn't it? You know, the hips hurting. You've played 3 5-setters. You've invested, what, nearly an hour and 20 minutes of good work, but you're a set and a breakdown now. He's in a tough place mentally, and Carlos really starting to show us what he can do.
40 love.
Yeah, he's in the sort of place that a real estate agent starts telling you it's in a vibrant area when they show you a slightly suboptimal apartment. It's on the way up, I promise you.
Game.
That's the Carlos show. Showering down winners. 3-love second set.
Alcaraz leads 3 games to love.
That maintains our connection with your mob over there, Mark.
For how much longer?
Oh, don't ask me that on air. No, I don't know.
Oh, I see.
It's good.
Well, you should get in the government house. You're political. I see there. You just you just navigated a nice little neutral path.
You know what I'm glad of? I'm glad that you and Colin Fleming were given visas. I'm happy that you're here. Genuinely so. I want to extend that visa if possible.
Jack looking to try and extend his stay out here on the Rod Laver Arena. Can he do so? A red-hot Alcaraz and a labouring Brett. I mean, that forehand down the line is not travelling at the pace it needs to.
And he is opening his shoulders now.
Yeah, and Mark, you mentioned the forehand, the serve speed there, 169 on the first serve. I mean, that's probably where his second serve needs to be in this match to compete. He's in real trouble here.
$15-30. On.
Down 10Ks on his first serve in this second set.
30-40.
Just another indication of just how much he's suffering. Got a little more on that one.
Deuce.
Yeah, he can't recover, can he? He's at 90% physically, Jack, it looks to me.
Deuce.
So good. Makes it so easy, doesn't he, to step in on that backhand and stay inside the baseline with that particular shot. Again, it's one thing and Colin jump in at the end of this game maybe, but I kind of feel that on his backhand he goes parallel with his feet. He nearly always, and I think exclusively, hits his forehand open stance, waits for the ball to come to him. Do wonder whether Jack would benefit from going a little bit more parallel and moving his feet into the court rather than waiting for it to come. Where did he come from?
No, that's impossible. I'm sitting right beside that drop volley from Draper, and I am certain that's going to bounce twice, let me tell you. There's no way he's got to that ball and hit a winner.
Look how far back he was.
He's got three brothers. One of them must be identical and jumped out there.
Well, I'm here to tell Cole Fleming that's obviously not impossible, because he did it.
He makes the impossible possible, this guy, doesn't he? Goodness me.
One just raising his fist saying, I taught him that.
Yeah, just to come back to your point, Mark, you know, he looks very natural, doesn't he, stepping in and attacking the short backhand, even at shoulder height. The forehand it's an area of development, whether it's, as you say, sort of getting that more side-on stance to the net to generate more power, whatever it is, he needs to find a way to punch holes in an opponent like this.
Well done.
Draper.
That's a phenomenal effort.
Yeah. Take my hat off.
New balls, please.
You know, I think technically on that forehand wing, like I haven't seen Jack anywhere
Alcaraz
near
leads
as much.
3
Look
games
at
to 1.
this. He definitely got it off the ground, Cole.
The one thing I love when I watch Alcaraz move is the big, long steps. You know, we talk a lot in tennis about short steps and small steps, but ultimately they're breaking steps. The most efficient way is to judge where the ball's going to be and take the fewest amount of steps to get there. And Alcaraz is just such a fine exponent of that.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he actually gets there almost in a balanced way as well.
Yeah.
To be able to play the shot. A lot of players would be almost falling into the net there, wouldn't they, just in their effort. He's some mover, this guy.
I mean, I think Jack here has to get up on the baseline and sort of take that serve away, because he's so deep on the due side. He's obviously injured, and Alcaraz is just able to slide one out there consistently and take him off the court. I mean, I'm not quite sure he's going to recover from there.
$15 all. 15-30.
This is going to be interesting on the clock. Fergus gave him a little extra time, wasn't much, 2 or 3 seconds. That was a slow walk to the towel. Just got the 3 balls. He's at 10 already. He's just sped up there.
Yeah, something you don't necessarily pick up watching on TV. And you guys have referred to it already, but these players do watch the shot clocks quite diligently. You know, you pick it up courtside, just the little glances. You know, he was very aware of what time he had there, got there just in time, gets the serve in. So, yeah, the shot clock has become a big part of the game, no doubt about it.
.212. Thompson, his fastest serve of the day.
40-30.
I think the intention of the clock shot is correct. It just hasn't worked. It doesn't work for me. It's actually caused a problem.
Again, Alcaraz.
A little pressure at 30 all, but he relieves it with a couple of great serves and nice tidy up forehands. 4-1. Yeah, just Colin, going back to the forehand, I don't know how you feel supreme.
Love 15.
Gee, it's impressive how he deals with that serve, because a lot of right-handers have trouble with that. You know, it's not a serve they face the majority of the time. It's from a lefty. They're in the minority, and coming into that forehand can cause issues with the spin, but the timing Alcaraz has on that is almost perfect. I don't think he's missed one this whole match.
15-30.
Draper really starting to look quite uncomfortable physically, you know, sort of walking around this court in between points. You can tell that he's in discomfort.
Well, he hit it to the open court. He saw a gap there, but he didn't quite hit it with enough conviction, and he has to allow for the speed of this opposition. Look at the movement. No, he couldn't move for that. There'll be debate here whether he finishes this match.
Yeah, he's having a staff meeting with himself right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he didn't move for that last one.
Alcaraz looking to put the final bit of polish on this second set. You know he's feeling comfortable because he just put the regulator on that forehand.
Just half pace.
Just coaxed it. You had one of the biggest forehands on the tour when you were out there, didn't you, Fitzy?
Why would you bring that up?
30 love.
That's just so unnecessary. Petchy?
That's just something I heard in the Players' Lounge.
There's a few guys around that told me you were a good bloke, but I'm not so sure.
That's first song.
Hey, back in the day when rackets weighed 400+ grams, you had to be strong.
That you were.
Well,
40 love.
I'm not sure what's going to happen after this game, whether he'll continue, whether because he is labouring now.
Game and second set. Alcaraz.
Doesn't look like Draper's pulling the ripcord at the
6
moment
games
as
to
he
1.
wanders to his chair.
Alcaraz
Yeah,
leads
Alcaraz
2
also
sets to
wondering,
none.
like everybody else within the stadium. He leads 2 sets to 0. Having said that, Colin, I wouldn't be surprised if this is it.
No, he's going to discuss with the physio Paul Ness. I don't see any, you know, I guess some players want to finish the match for the reputation, for the crowd, but I don't see any value in keeping going.
It was unfortunate, but inevitable.